Today I'm going to be doing comparing squats with leg press. So the benefits of both, which one gives you more benefit of getting muscle and stuff like that, and which one gives you a little bit more leg development. So ever since I tore my rotator cuff, I physically can't do a barbell squat because I can't get into it. So I'm going to demonstrate on a Smith. I know it's not the same, but it's the closest I can get to demonstrating it in a way that it kind of correlates to what I'm doing without using like a plate loaded machine, like a pendulum or just a plate loaded squat. So we'll get into this. So big thing, what you want to do is have the bar right on your traps there. Chest always going to stay up. So think of your hip girdle. So you don't want it so your hip girdle is this way. You want to be pouring water out the front. So your hip girdle goes back. So this goes back, and now all the weight is on my heel. I'm just squatting down, squatting up. Okay? You see that everything stays straight. I can go all the way down, all the way up. So as you can see, I'm not using my hands on my legs, all the way down the heel, so I can still move my toes and up. The common mistakes on even a Smith machine squat or a barbell squat is people, again, go too heavy. And when they go down, they're not going down far enough. They're not breaking 90. So what I mean is they're stopping here, and then they're coming up. So that's more of like a partial rep or quarter squat, if you will. You want to come down at least to a 90 degree. So at least to here, and then come back up. Another one is, if it's too heavy, a lot of people tend to go to the toes. So what I mean by that is, they're all the way down here and they go all the way up in like a catcher's position on their toes. Oh, crap. Everything, all that tension that is now down there goes to the next joint, which is the knee. So that is definitely what you don't want, is be all the way down and have all the weight transfer to your knee, because you're gonna end up tearing something. So the big thing with a squat is it's a great posterior chain exercise, because obviously you're putting a barbell on your back and your back has to gauge, it has to keep everything tight, because if you're going down and you let that loosen at all, it's going to throw all your kinetic chain off. So it's going to throw your hips off, throw your knees off, and throw your feet planted on the floor. So everything has to be up. Chest has to be up, shoulders have to be back, hip has to be in the pouring water out the front position. Everything like that has to be staying that way, and you go all the way down to parallel or just below parallel, push through the heels, come back up. So that is a great posterior chain exercise. Great for the overall leg, so quads, hammies, and glutes. Great for a builder. If you're a newbie, this is one of the exercises that's gonna put on mass and put it on in a hurry, same as the regular deadlift. So we're gonna move on to a leg press now. So now I'm gonna do the leg press, which we're comparing to a barbell squat. So leg press, what you wanna do is you wanna come in hip width apart. Again, staying on those heels, lowering the weight. And this is where everyone has this kind of misconception. So yes, in my younger years, I used to let my bum come right off and curl my spine up. That is very, very detrimental to a beginner, even an intermediate lifter, because you will have some injuries down the road. So what I tell my clients is, you come down until you feel your bum start to curl. And as soon as you feel that, push through the heels and up. So there's a lot more room that I could bring my knees back farther, because a lot of you see online is they're calling it range of motion. So I can come back right to here and keep coming. But look at my bum. It is now completely off that seat. So again, that is very detrimental to my lower lumbar. So that's where you're walking that tightrope of injury, and that's a very common mistake. So what I recommend people doing is you bring it down until you start to feel your bum shift, and then it's press off. So you're just at that point of your bum shifting away. Because your bum should be pressed down into that seat, and you'll feel it start to shift. Press. Everything's through the heel. Another common mistake is people bring it down, and the dexterity in their ankle isn't very good, and they start pressing off their toes. Or they have their feet really, really low on here, and everything is in that catcher position off the toe. All the pressure is now on their knee. So it's very detrimental to the knee. Basically the whole kinetic chain. So if you go through your bone structure, it allows your muscles to work properly. Like your muscles are connected to your bones. So your joints is just a point where everything pivots. So you don't want, but that's where all your ligaments and tendons are. So you don't want the pressure on the ligaments and tendons. You want it on the muscle itself. So you let the knee break, but you don't want the pressure here. You want it on the muscle. So all you're doing is straightening that knee. So without putting the pressure on the ligaments and tendons, you're putting it on the muscle itself. So down, push through the heel, up. It's a very common sense way of thinking, but a lot of people try to overcomplicate it and lift too heavy and swear up and down that they can, and then injuries happen, and then they second guess themselves. So the big thing here is lift it properly, lift it under control, and don't lift too heavy is the big thing with leg press. Comparing the two, now in my later years, I would prefer leg press over squat, but unfortunately with my hernia, I have to be very careful with both of them. Because obviously with the pressure coming down, it aggravates my hernia and pushes it up more through my diaphragm, which tend to give me symptoms. So for me, if I have a client and I'm putting them through something, I would tend to keep them over in, a squat pattern, which builds on overall strength instead of leg strength. If it's just a quad dominant day, I may just put them on leg press. So it all depends on what you're trying to achieve and what kind of goal the client has. But both are great. Both are really good for the legs. Leg press, more of a quad exercise than an overall exercise. You can manipulate your foot pattern on the platform to engage a little bit more of the ham and glute, but still it's a dominant of the quad. So take that information, run with it, use it in your next training splits, and hope it works.